Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been a while, and I just wanted to give you guys an update on what you can expect if you have transferred any of your Syngonium or other aeroids into full water culture. Just want to show you what progress looks like with this type of plant in particular. I have two here. This one I believe is a confetti. It didn't come in as a confetti, but it looks like confetti. It looks like a cross between confetti and white butterfly. So I'm not really sure. Less of the lime green and more of like the white. But it's not milk confetti. I know that. Anyway, so yeah, we have that one. And then my Regina Red, which is beautiful. I'll start with the Regina Red because I just flushed out the reservoir, and before I fill it, I wanted to show you what we're dealing with and what you can expect once your plant kind of gets adjusted and enjoys being in water culture. Syngonium seem to love it. Every Syngonium that I have, I put into full water culture. I started out in almost semi-water culture. I let it dry out just a little bit so the roots can kind of get adjusted to being in moisture 100% of the time. Because, when they're in soil, they're used to drying out and then getting water drying out. So I kind of adjust them by almost semi-water culture where I let it dry almost to the bottom, just a thin layer of water, then I replenish. Sometimes you have to cut back the roots because soil roots don't always survive. Other times, just cleaning them really, really well, they'll start to branch off of those soil roots into water roots. But I'll show you what that looks like right now. So I'm going to take this huge plant out of the vase. I'll show you what this looks like. It's a very, very big plant. So here is the beautiful root system. I cleaned up the roots. This was, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago. I cleaned out the roots really, really well, and you can see all of those light colored roots are water roots. You can also see on the bottom, they started to wrap around kind of the bottom of the vase. This is what the vase looks like. So these are the beautiful, healthy roots, and the plant is doing great. I took off some of the dead leaves. They were old leaves, but as you can see, there are a whole bunch of new leaves coming out. All of those curled up leaves that are getting ready to open all over the place. And this has a lot of babies. This you can see there are pups all over the place. I'm not going to separate them right now. I kind of like the way this whole plant looks in its huge state. See if I can get away. You can see it's really big and beautiful. So I flushed out the reservoir of the water/nutrient solution, and now what I'm going to do is take my water and add in my liquid hydroponic fertilizer. This one I believe is the Arrow Garden. Miracle Grow makes it. And all I do is add in like 3 or 4 drops. I'll do 4. That's all. You could probably feed this a little bit more. I don't really like doing that, especially if I'm going to be adding in nutrients every time I water, or almost every time I water. I kind of keep it on the lower side. So now I'm going to just pour this. Let's see if I can get the camera to cooperate with me. Let's see if I can get this in there. Okay, there we go. You can see it filling up. And as you can see, I don't fill it all the way to the top of the roots or like the base of the plant. It's about, I'd say, almost halfway up. And what ends up happening is it sprouts roots, new roots, out of the stems that are above the reservoir, and they grow into it, and then they're prepared for it. So let me bring this up here so you guys can see better. So as you can see, all of the roots are not completely submerged. A good thing about this is these roots, you'll notice, if you study roots, because I love roots on plants, it's called root porn, you'll notice that the new water roots, they're almost hairy. It almost looks like there's fuzz on them, and not like a fungus type of fuzz, but they have like little hairs-like structures. So what I've noticed is those little hairy structures wick water up to the base of the plant. So those roots on top, as long as the reservoir and the water in the reservoir doesn't get too low, you'll notice that the base of those roots where they're coming out of the stems will be moist. So it wicks up moisture up the roots on its own. So yeah, that's this one. The big, beautiful Regina Red. The next one I'm going to show you, actually, let me move this out of the way so that I can show you this baby. This one has already been flushed. Again, to me, looks like a confetti. The younger leaves look more like confetti with the lime green. Some of the larger leaves take on a little bit of a different hue. But anyway, doing really well. Lots of new leaves popping up. Again, these plants love water culture. And I'm just going to show you what the roots look like. Same sort of situation. I had cleaned up the soil roots really, really well. This is going on a couple months as well. And you can see the roots are starting to grow around and around at the bottom of the, this is just a glass that I have them in. And roots are very, very healthy. Lots of new leaves popping up. You could see them all in there. And again, there are lots of pups on this plant. It keeps sprouting babies all over the place. And I'm not going to separate this one yet either because I enjoy how it looks. I did the same situation. This one I filled up a little bit more. You could see that normally it would be like halfway down. I didn't judge, but that's okay. It's not going to cause any problems. It'll just get even more roots up there coming in from the stems. And I did the same situation. Since this one is a little bit smaller, I only did like 3 drops of the hydroponic nutrients in the water. Larger plants, obviously, I give a little bit more. But again, you don't even have to give that much at all. You can even skip some waterings and just use regular water without any nutrient. These plants don't seem to mind. One thing I did notice is nice bright light. I have these under LEDs. Nice bright light really does make a difference, and it helps them, it seems to help them adjust a lot quicker. So I recommend some either natural light, bright natural light by a window. South-facing windows are fine. I have a bunch of these different varieties in the south-facing window. They get direct sunlight, and they haven't burned at all. They haven't faded. They are just becoming very vigorous, and their roots, and they get very thirsty in natural sunlight, I noticed. And I got to water them more often than these guys under the lights. But they do equally as well. So people say, oh, don't put them in full sun, they'll burn. I haven't had that experience. Maybe different areas of the country may have a different, the plants may react differently. For me, I have not had any issues, full sun or no natural light and all LED grow lights. But yeah, that's it. So it's I feel like it's a really great way to grow these plants. Really easy. You don't have to worry about overwatering, underwatering. A lot of times, I've seen a lot of plants in soil that some of the leaves come up and they start dying off before they even unfurl. It's just, it could be like chemicals that are in that soil. It could be that it's too wet. It could be that it's too dry. You never really know. So when you're growing your Syngonium in water culture, it's so easy to get it right. And it's easy to see signs early on that something isn't right. Then you could flush it out, check the roots. I still go through my roots because some of the older roots, just like any other plant, roots grow and then they have their life cycle and they die and new roots grow. So sometimes, especially when you've transferred them into water culture, you'll have to just examine the roots. If they look a little discolored, feel if they're soft and mushy or if they're nice and firm. And if they're soft and mushy and dark colored, I immediately cut them off and new roots grow immediately. Very, very easy to take care of. I have so many of these different varieties. Basically my whole collection is in water culture and they're doing amazing. I'm going to start splitting them off. So I'll have a lot available if people are interested. But I definitely recommend the water culture method for specifically for Syngonium. A lot of other plants thrive, just as well in water culture, but this is specifically for Syngonium in my experience with Syngonium. Again, natural light as well as artificial LED light. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Share with your friends. If you enjoy growing plants in water culture, I'd love to hear about it because most of my plants are in some type of waterculture, semi-hydro, whatever you want to call it, because I'm not a fan of soil and other mediums. So definitely give a holler, and I love to talk plants. If you have not yet subscribed, why not? Go for it. We love to talk about plants in waterculture and other plant topics as well. So other than that, thanks for watching and tuning in, and I will see you in the next video.